Welcome to the bulletin. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker unveiled his €315 billion plan to kickstart the EU economy without adding to public debt. Juncker said the proposal will mix an investment fund with a scheme to match new projects with private money. Sabika Razvi has the details.
Many have tried and failed. However, new European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker will try his hand at trying to repair Europe's weakening economy. The Eurozone crisis ended more than 2 years ago. However, governments in Europe have still been unable to persuade private financiers to invest in the continent's most failing economies. Juncker's €315 billion investment plan, however, is set to change all of that.
Today, Europe is turning a page. After years of fighting to restore our fiscal credibility and to promote reform, today we are adding the third point of a virtuous circle, an ambitious yet realistic investment plan for Europe. Europe needs a kickstart, and today the Commission is applying the jump cables.
The difference in Juncker's plan is growth will not be reliant on government spending. Rather, private investors will instead help prop up the economy. This will be done with the help from the European Investment Bank and the EU budget. Together, they will contribute €21 billion, known as the European Fund for Strategic Investment. The fund, which is aimed at stimulating growth and jobs, will be an early investment. It will support businesses until they can generate cash of their own, ultimately acting as a form of security to entice private backers to invest. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said there was some support from her government, but it must be clear to everyone where the projects will be in the future.
The German government supports in principle the package presented by Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, with which the European Commission and the European Investment Bank will mobilize additional investments of some €300 billion.
However, the plan was not without oppositions. Reports say critics are calling the scheme too small, claiming the plan needs far more hard cash if it's to make any major difference. In the face of these doubts, Juncker hit back, saying Europe must face the challenge of a generation head-on, without a money-printing machine, describing his plan as the greatest effort in recent EU history to trigger additional investment without changing the rules. The success of the plan now depends on whether Juncker is first able to convince EU leaders to give it a go. Having formally introduced the plan to the European Parliament in Strasbourg today, he will submit it to EU leaders at a summit in December.
Now, to discuss this issue with us further is Dr. TALIB WARSI, an economic and political expert who joins us from Derby over the phone. Dr. TALIB WARSI, thank you very much for joining us firstly. Now, Juncker seems very enthusiastic about this budget plan, saying it is a kickstart for the EU economy. Now, do you think the state of the Eurozone economy now, is there potential for it?
There is certainly a lot of potential, provided it is handled properly. Or else some critic may end up saying it is too little, too late. But the amount mentioned, although it seems a staggering amount of so many billions of euros, but we have to take it into account what is also happening across the other side of on the other side of the shores in the Atlantic in America. And we have to see this as a first step to encourage this investment, especially private investment to come in. Private investment has a very important role, especially in the mid-sector of the economy, where it is a lot dependent on the private investment rather than just the big boys.
But Dr. Warsi, Dr. Warsi, at the heart of this plan are investments from private backers. Now, with many recent scandals and tax probes, do you think investors have trust in Europe?
No, but because one of the reasons they don't have, because they are not acting, all the governments, all the major, whether it's Germany, Britain or France, they are not acting together and not saying the same, passing the same message with one voice. So that is why they do not know how long will this tide be there. Will the tide recede? Will individually the countries pull back, or will they go all the way? If you look at the economy in France, it's having a very hard time, and they need to put more money in. The private investment is very vital, because if the private investors have confidence in the plan, and they have to study the plan which is released, and the Germans are making a lot of noises about it, but it has to be a concrete one. There has to be a balance in the plan with the encouragement, with the tax rebate and tax refund, and encouragement of minimizing the tax by Brussels and others, to make sure that the money that they are putting in is not a short-term deal, but a much longer-term plan.
Sure. Dr. Warsi, just moving on slightly, overall, the responsibility for the 3-year plan will fall on the European Investment Bank. Now, this is a little known EU institution based in Luxembourg that is often criticized for its lack of ambition. Now, do you think this will hinder the progress?
I believe it has great potential, provided that they speak with enthusiasm. What the 3-year plan is what appears to be a very cautious one. What it needs to be a real wolf behind the plan, so that the investments, especially coming from the private sector, they know that they have got the backing of Brussels and everybody behind it, especially the German economy, and the others are going to move in this direction. If one of them tried to pull a brake there, then it will not work, because private investment, whether it's 3-year plan, they are not planning for 3 years. They will always plan for much a longer period of time. An economy cannot just have a blank a drawback after 3 years. It has to be a much longer plan, but they must speak with one voice. They must act together, and they must also look at the taxation and encourage the people with the taxation relief that these investors.
We're just going to have to leave it there, Dr. Warsi, economic and political expert, Dr. TALIB WARSI. Thank you very much for your time.